Who have been the best players in the Premier League for the first few games? We're about to tell you who our team of the month is, or teams, because I am JJ Bull, and this
is Jon Mackenzie.
And we're going to show you our teams right away so you can see them all, and we'll describe why we picked these players. Let's see what we think. Here's the teams. Wow, a couple of great teams there. You notice that mine look like delicious sweeties that you could eat, and are far more attacking than Jon's. But Jon has also made the mistake of not selecting any substitutes. And why did you not select substitutes?
Because I was told to select a team of the month, not two teams of the month.
I have cheated. So let's go through it, starting from back.
Can you sort out your team, please?
Front.
Get out of my half of the pitch, it's stressing me out.
I'm playing a very aggressive formation, as you can see. Now, let's move on to the goalkeepers. So the first thing is the goalkeeper. You selected Alisson. Why?
Well, I had a look at some of the numbers for some of the goalkeepers, and there's definitely a skew towards goalkeepers at teams at the bottom of the table doing quite well in terms of shot stopping. So, for example, Wes Foderingham,
yes,
the Sheffield United goalkeeper, has the best performance against post-shot expected goals so far. Now, it's obviously only been 4 games so far, so don't read too much into that. But I actually went with Alisson because I felt as though the Liverpool team has been a little bit hit and miss this season, and he has kept them in games, namely that game against Newcastle where they pulled off a famous 2-1 victory, and he pulled off that incredible save to keep them in the game. It's also a nice save from, was it Jose Sarr?
Yeah.
Did you remember that one where he sort of flicked it over the bar? But
that's quite good.
I thought on the basis
of a couple of good saves in that other game.
Yeah, that's true. But I've decided to go for Alisson because I think he is still the best keeper in the Premier League, and on the basis of this month, he deserves it.
And it's a great song by Elvis Costello as well.
His name is Alisson and he dances on the sand.
That's the song, yeah. And I've got Onana, who also dances on the sand. I went for him. Obviously, he's letting a couple of goals maybe you'd want him not to have done, but I think it's unlucky that the goals have gone in. I think he's made Man United far better in possession. Like, he does these lovely long passes, which he knew he would do, but also he's not a calamity at the back when you're playing simple balls, and that just makes it a lot harder to press Man United in the way you've done in the past. So therefore, they're better. But how about defenders, Jon? Because we both picked a back four. Do yours invert, or do they play as actual wing-backs?
I've actually gone with a sort of asymmetric thing. So what we're going to have is we're going to have one of the fullbacks pushing up and then the other one rather got.
I see. Aaron Hickey tucking in. I like it.
Do you like that?
He's good going forward as well, Hickey. I like him. And so let's have a look. So Aaron Hickey's your right back. Pervis Estupiñán is the left back. Mickey van de Ven and William Saliba.
Yeah, so the logic behind this is I've gone with Pervis Estupiñán. I could have gone for Destiny Udogie, who you've gone for, but I've got loads of Spurs players already. Spurs, I think the difficulty with picking this team is that Spurs have had probably the best season so far out of the teams in terms of expectations, and so it's quite tempting to pick a lot of their players. I've gone with Pervis Estupiñán because he's got a fair amount of good production for Brighton this season as well. So he's got a goal, he's got a couple of assists.
2.5 expected assists so far.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it?
That's very high. It's the highest, I think, of any full-back or defender anyway, I think.
Yeah, and he's a shot-creating action machine as well. And so I've gone with him, and then I decided to go for Aaron Hickey on the other side because actually Brentford have started really well in terms of their defensive numbers as well. So I wanted to have someone from Brentford just to reflect that. And I actually looked at his numbers, and he's been pretty good, particularly on the defensive side. So 5 tackles attempted against dribblers running towards him, and all of those 5 tackles completed, which is a pretty good turn of events. So yeah, I've gone with him just to reflect the fact that Brentford have started out really well, and their underlying numbers actually reflect the fact that they're quite good. Yeah,
they started really well, Brentford, and I went with Udogie because I think Spurs have been fantastic to watch. I also like the way that he's automatically dropped into this new system where he can play midfield, swaps around with Maddison also in my team, but is being very dangerous going forward. This looks like a great left back already. He's very young, Udogie. But slotted in well. And then Kyle Walker, I know he had that thing at Sheffield United where he tried to backheel the ball in his own box or something like that. He just put a pass across his own box. That's only one mistake. I think he's been very good for City, and they've accommodated him, playing him as a centre-back and as a right-back on the outside, so you're getting him as your wide player now. So when I push forward my team, I can do either this or I can do this. I've got lots of fluidity, and well, it depends how fluid my team is really, because mine's a very rigid structure, Jon, just to let you know about that.
I was going to say, with Walker as well, it's fair to say that, yes, he messed up against Sheffield United. They got back into the game, but then after that, Walker really stepped up and, immediately after that carries the ball all the way down the field, tries to get a goal for City, and is, in fact, involved in the chance that led to Rodri scoring as well.
It's the classic five-a-side redemption minute that everyone knows about. If you give the ball away in five-a-side, just make a big tackle when you go back for a few seconds. Everyone will think you're great. That's what you do. Someone else I think is great is Nathan Ake, who I have put in the team because I think he's been very good in each game he's played. He got a goal, doesn't matter to me, he's a defender. But I think he deserves some love because he's managed to hold on to his place despite Josko Gvardiol coming in, and he's one of the best young defenders, if not defenders, in the entire world. And Ake's been moving into the midfield slot like John Stones was recently, so that's been another little, not a string to his bow, what's a better word to use than that? Let's make up a new one.
Key on his piano.
Key on his piano, that's another tune. He's added on a B.
To his bonnet.
Yes. Many bees here buzzing around. And then we both gone Saliba, right? And Saliba's kind of obvious, I think. I saw Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest in the Emirates, and you can sometimes see how much bigger players are, like stronger, but also you can see how well Saliba reads the game, always comfortable on the ball. And is it that game, Nottingham Forest, when he's running back, he's able to make a slide tackle or something? Yeah, it was that game, wasn't it? He's so good, Saliba.
He's one of the best backwards defenders in the world, I think. Incredible sweeper player, and is a big reason why Arsenal are where they are. But I also noticed that he's got the second highest progressive carries as well in the league so far. Actually, Lewis Dunk has the most. I think you've got him on the bench. But
well, that's why I've got Lewis Dunk and Anderson on the bench. I could put them in, but like I didn't put a stupid in because I thought it was too obvious. Everyone's got them in fantasy football, and that is not
saying I'm obvious. Is that
not
what
a
you're
legit.
saying,
Well, it's not a legit reason to leave them out.
It's fine.
In the same way you left out some Man City players you think might have been in there, but
wow.
Controversial choices. But Joachim Anderson, really, really decent. I think we could either have had him in on the right side, maybe, as the guy who plays long passes. He's got really high progressive passes in this, according to FBref statistics anyway, well, just normal statistics. And Lewis Dunk, really high statistically, profiles really well, and Brighton have done very well. So that's why I got him in. But you've got Mickey van de Ven, who I also really like.
Yeah, and a player who has come straight into this Spurs side under a new manager and looks like he's been playing there for his whole career so far. A really exciting team that Spurs have. They do play very aggressive attacking football, and that does leave them exposed as well. And I think he's been excellent, again, covering there. But another player who I originally came across playing for Volendam and making these just incredible runs, like box to box as a centre-back. And we've seen a little bit of that, maybe not as much as I expected, but really important, I think, for someone like Ange Postecoglou to have a ball-carrying centre-back, because I think so much of what they're going to be able to do by actually inverting their fullback is generating space for him to run into in particular.
Yeah.
And I think we've started to see a little bit of that already. But yeah, I think he's
really
been
confident
fantastic.
on the ball, didn't he? Yeah. Like in high pressure situations, I've seen him a couple of times get out of trouble. Romero's done quite well this season so far. It's only been a month, right? But I think he's got away with quite a few little tasty.
He could have been sent off at least twice so far in 4 games. That's pretty impressive.
In each game, I think. Yeah. Okay, so that's our defence, right? So that's how we've got a back four like this. Now, in the holding midfield position, I've gone for Rodri because I think he's the best in the position in the entire world, regardless of he scored 2 goals. Like he's a clutch king, right? Steps up all the time now, gets these goals. Allowed to do that because you've got someone like Kovacic dropping in beside him that gives him a little bit more room to go forward and join in. But the distances between other midfielders is always perfect. He's always measured the game perfectly, so it's squeezed up to prevent things, and then obviously very useful defensively. Now, I think you would have gone for Rodri normally. This is the odd thing. But
no, it's true. I think with Rodri, if we were going to do this team of the month every month of the season, he would probably be in it every month of the season for a combination of factors. One being that I think that he is the best number 6 in the world. The other one is that he's playing for Manchester City, and so he's going to be in a position where he's going to be doing a lot of good things all the time. I've gone with Yves Bissouma instead, though, because I feel as though, again, this is another player who's almost gone through a bit of a redemption arc with Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah.
Again, coming into that position and being, I think, super important for what it is that they're trying to do. Really, really press resistant. Incredible to see his technical ability, and there's very few players who have the close control that he has, and it's been great watching him just flourish.
Why didn't Antonio Conte play him, or anyone at Spurs really? Why did he not get game time there?
I'm not sure how I would answer that, but I think in this system, because what happens is often both fullbacks invert for Postecoglou. It means that you are going to be compacting the build-up space. It's easier for opposition teams to press you when you're going to invert both of your fullbacks nominally. So it's really important to have a player like Bissouma who can ride those tackles and help you progress the ball down the field. So yeah, it fits this system like a glove, and it's been really nice to see someone who I think a lot of people sort of written off after he'd left Brighton and put him in that bucket of, oh, it's another Brighton player who has moved somewhere else and not been as good, but now he's in this system which suits him and he's looking fantastic.
So is it maybe a case that he suits playing in this particular 6 role rather than being one of 2 8s or 2 6s like they did in the more defensive?
Yeah, I think so. I think I think the fact that his job is mainly to facilitate ball progression as well, rather than what I think a lot of other 8s are expected to do, which is either play box to box or do a lot of defensive work as well. So yeah, I think this works for him nicely.
All right, let's go into midfield. We're in here now. I'm going to swap your left back around with James Maddison because I don't want to play him at left back. Right, what we've got here, we both got Enzo Fernandez. John's gone for the very formal approach of having both names for each player, which I think is very nice. I just wrote down even nicknames, Enzo. Now, you might think Chelsea haven't played particularly well this season. I think they've actually been all right and maybe unlucky, and they're just learning. It's very hard to get all those new players into one team at once. It is basically an entirely new squad/team. But Fernandez has stood out for me in every single game. It's just beautiful little touches, half turns, like cutting in space, making everything flow, everything goes through him. That's why I've got him in. I don't have any statistics that really back up or need to kind of show that. It's more the eye test. He's really fun to watch, and that's why he's one of my favourite players this month. But what about you, John?
Yeah, I mean, I think that his performance against Liverpool in the opening game of the season for Chelsea was one of the...
That was his best one,
yeah, one of the greatest performances by a number 8 that I've seen in the Premier League. Really, really enjoyed that.
Ever?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was really good. And I think with Fernandes, the problem that Chelsea have is that he's so good and so versatile that you sort of want him to solve all of your problems. So we've seen him being used a little bit deeper earlier on in the season, so sort of playing alongside Conor Gallagher and helping facilitate their build-up.
Yeah.
But he's so good in more advanced areas as well that you want him to be there as well. So often in the course of games, you'll see him just everywhere. He's playing this quite fluid position for Chelsea right now where he's starting out on the left, but they've got Ben Chilwell being quite aggressive in possession. And so he has license to sort of drop inside. But even towards the end of some games, we're seeing him actually, again, dropping in and helping out with the build-up as well. So just a really, really great all-round player who can perform in every third of the field.
I wonder if he'd play that same position in the system if Nkunku hadn't been injured. I wonder where he would have gone otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, I think the intention always was to have Caicedo come in and function as the player who can sort of sit deep and help out. And what you see actually out of possession with Chelsea is that both Enzo and Conor Gallagher then in out of possession phases can just push really high because they can rely on Caicedo's ball winning at the back to be able to do that. So I think he probably would still be playing in this role. I think they probably would just be starting Nkunku as a striker, probably.
You reckon? Oh, maybe, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that could be it. Well, anyway, he's been magic. Just trust us in that. And then you've got James Maddison as your number 8. I've got him as a number 10 in my midfield. Clearly, he's been absolutely amazing. His numbers are great. 4 games, 2 goals, 2 assists. Those are the very basic numbers. There's lots of stuff underneath that. But what you see him is moving all over the pitch. He plays as like an 8 for Spurs. And it's not that he's being told to go deep because that's where he's best at. Is that he's playing all the different roles at once. He's playing 10, 8, 6 within the Ange Postecoglou's system, and it means that he drops into where he needs to go, maybe drops deep to get on the ball, and that means that they've got Udogie who moves into the higher positions, which is one of the reasons I like Udogie so much, because his positional intelligence and understanding of the system is what's working so well for them. But then Maddison is getting to the right places at the right times, is getting runs in behind the last line to get onto the end of crosses to score, and he's also been really useful from shooting from long range. He just looks, it's the best I've seen him play for, well, maybe ever. And last season was like 8 goals, 7 assists, I think, for Leicester. Already started very well. Is there anything you need to add to that? Yeah,
I think with Spurs, what we see is that this triangle of players they have. I mean, this isn't Spurs, but they have fullback, the wide forward, and the 8, and they're constantly rotating these 3 players. So, as you said, Maddison can drop in and help out in the build-up phase. He can sit behind the opposition last line and dictate from there, play little through balls through, or as you've said, get in behind. He can also operate in the wide areas as well in certain situations. And there's a really nice example of him playing a quite nice 1-2 with Pat Matasar in the game against Burnley, and then getting a shot away. So I think this is the sort of team that really suits him. This sort of style of play is going to suit him because he is super technical, really good on the ball, but also quite a creative and intelligent player. And I think this sort of fluid system allows you to be able to, for him to just sort of be creative in a way that a lot of other elite systems won't be. So I think we're going to see him popping up in this team of the season, team of the month. all the way through the season.
That's, of course, if we keep doing this. And if you do like us doing this video, please do tell us in the comments, because that would help us know. So what we've got here is the midfield. Obviously, I've gone for a sort of random one, you might think, in Solly March, but he scored 3 goals for Brighton. And what you think he does is he plays mostly on the right for them, but he can play in midfield as well. I've sort of cheated here because he's multi-positional, because in my team it's I've done one of these silly things where it's very multiple positional and fluid. So he'll play on the right-hand side, maybe over here, and then you've got Walker can double up. And what you're going to end up with is maybe this sort of thing where you've got these 3 patrolling with these 2. I've gone for an extra attacking player. Yeah, I'm just trying to take you on, and I think if I can keep you here and guard the counter-attack lines, I think I'll be all right. And they'll swap around, you won't know who's going where, and March is one of these. But all his goals he scored from the centre of the pitch. So that he starts on the right but ends up here, but because he's got someone overlapping on the right, which isn't always a right back, it's normally someone else. Very De Zerbi-ist football. But that's why March is in my team. I could have gone for Ward-Prowse, who's been excellent from set-piece delivery. Is that enough to get in the team of the month?
No.
No, I agree. Moussa Diaby, I liked him. He's been good. He scored twice. He scored from the middle of the box as well. But he's not in the team. Declan Rice, I bet there's some people going, why is Rice not there? Well, I think he's been decent for Arsenal. He's really impressive to watch in real life especially. But I don't know. I just want to have other players in. I want to get other ones who are like outstanding rather than just being obviously good. Maybe he's a victim of being obviously good, like Rodri was for you. Do you think that might be a case?
Potentially. I think he's got a big price tag hanging over him, so the fact that he's matching that, I think, means that he's in the public eye a little bit more.
Well, now we move on to our strikers or forwards, and you've managed to sneak Lucas Paquetá in.
Yes. Well, I wanted to recognise the fact that West Ham have had a fantastic month. And, with Paquetá, it's been like an interesting narrative based around him not going to Man City for various reasons. And then him coming into that game against Brighton where they managed to beat them 3-1. And he was absolutely fundamental for that game. He actually played in the wide areas and cut inside in that formation. It actually works quite nicely in my formation because, as I said, I'm going to be pushing Estupinian forward to get production from him. Everyone else switching around and then Paquetá can come inside.
But in West Ham, so Paquetá's coming in off the left in that game, and then overlap comes from, is it Emerson playing left back?
Yeah, Emerson Palmieri, to give him his full name, yeah. But
as you seem to like to do, yes.
Yes, yeah. Well, yeah, if he'd been on the pitch for me, I would have used his full name. But yeah, I think Paquetá he's a fantastic player. A player who I think Moyes struggled to fit into the team when he first arrived, but it's been great seeing him really sort of vibe out in that West Ham low block and counter system. And that game was clearly a big game for him, and it was nice to see him really thriving in that setup.
All right, Brian Mbeumo. So this is the guy that everyone's got in their fantasy football team because he scores goals a lot because of set pieces from Brentford because they're so good at them. Why else is he in your team of the month? What have you seen?
Well, again, I looked at the data, and Brentford actually have the highest non-penalty expected goals per 90 this season so far. So because I thought, Brentford have had a couple of penalties, so I was just like, oh yeah, those penalties are sort of bumping them up a little bit. But I checked on FBref, and unless I'm reading the data wrong, it seems as though Brentford pretty good value for money in terms of their XG production. Again, with the caveat, there's only been 4 games so far. And obviously, the big story with Brentford is that they don't have Ivan Toney playing for them anymore. So they've been playing Brian Mbeumo and Yohan Wissa as well as their attacking players, and Kevin Schade as well. And they've been pulling up this. They've been, what's the slack cliche? They've been taking up the slack. Is that the right thing?
Cutting slack.
No,
you cut someone's slack.
They've been basically filling in the space that Ivan Toney has left behind. Picking up the slack. They've been picking up the slack that has been left in the absence of Ivan Toney, and it's.
John has used a cliche, and that means it's time to challenge John. Now, this month, Mikel Arteta claimed that his team Arsenal had used 36 formations in one game. Now, John, I'd like for you, within 60 seconds, to tell me, I want you to list 36 formations. I'm going to time you, and then we're going to...
Do they have to be...
No, just generally. Just name 36 formations.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to start off with the most simple formation.
Whoa, I'm going to time you. This is a very official competition. I'm going to write them down to make sure that you don't cheat, right? So 60 seconds. Jon Mackenzie is going to name 36 formations.
Wow.
Your time starts now.
4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, 4-3-2-1, 4-3-1-2, 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1.
Is that too many?
Maybe 3-5-2.
Don't waste time now.
4-5-1, 5-3-2, 3-5-2, 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1, 3-4-1-2, 2-7-2, the classic Thiago Motta, 4-4-2 diamond, 3 diamond 3, 4,
20 to go.
20.
10 seconds.
4-1-4-1. That's a good one. 4-2-3. Have I done 4-2-3-1?
Yep.
You've not written any of these down.
I have.
Have you?
Yeah. Oh, I'm afraid you've managed to name 18.
That's not bad going.
Pretty good. I will say you missed out the best formation.
What's that?
The most important formation of all. Friendship.
Maybe the 36 formations were just the friends we made along the way.
I think in a way they probably were. Now on to our strikers. What we've got. Oh, what have I said here? So you've gone for Evan Ferguson, who's been very good. He scored a hat-trick across this last game. And people might say that was only one game, and also that was in September technically, so it's not August. Well, it doesn't matter, because I thought he was amazing in the game before that, and I've forgotten who that was against. It's annoying because we're recording this now. But he didn't score, but he had loads of shots. I think West Ham it was. I thought he was great. Everything he does is perfect for number 9. He's going to score loads this season.
And he's only 18 as well, so I think he's one of the few players to have scored a hat-trick when they're 18. I think it's Michael Owen, Robbie Fowler and Chris Bart-Williams. So he adds himself to that list of... obviously, if he's going to follow the trajectories of their careers, then he's in a good place.
I haven't thought about him in a while. Okay, well, Evan Ferguson's on my bench. I've put Julian Alvarez on my bench as well. I thought he'd been great. If he'd scored more, I think I wouldn't the basic stats up to put him in. Saka is just one of the best players in the entire league, but I don't know why he's not on my team really either. Jarrod Bowen could easily have gone in. I think Sterling looks great at Chelsea. Has really come alive again. I
was toying Bowen instead of Mbeumo because I think Bowen has been fantastic. And I think for West Ham to be able to turn over teams like Brighton, they need to have players like Bowen.
That's why they were so good a couple of seasons ago. It was Bowen mostly, because he was well under his expected goals and assists, I think, last season. This season already he's kind of level with it and just creating far more. I think he was linked with a move away last summer, and maybe that, I don't know, I don't think that really affects how your form is, but maybe just at the back of a good season. He had a bad one, now he's having a good one. I like that a lot. I'm attacking you here. I'm lost where all my players are because I'm so aggressive with my forward pressing. I've got Erling Haaland, obviously. Erling Haaland has had 20.5 touches per game, which is 10 fewer than the lowest ranked goalkeeper, which is Sam Johnston. And he has scored 6 goals with those touches. Don't need the ball to score, John.
Yeah, only 1 penalty as well, so he's not like he's stat padding there. So,
yeah. Well, there's an interesting thing for you, John, is that Erling Haaland's non-penalty XG, so as in XG not created from from open play, is 3.1, and Nicholas Jackson's non-penalty XG is 3. However, Nicholas Jackson has scored 1, and Haaland has scored 6. So you can see...
But he's only scored 5.
Where Jackson... 5, yeah. But you see if Jackson needs to improve.
Yeah.
It's putting the ball in that there net, I would say. You got to put it in the net, Jackson. Nicholas. His name is Nicholas. That's what I've got from him. Anyway, so I don't have Nicholas Jackson in the team. I think he's been very good, though, and I've been very impressed by how he's played. I thought he'd be good, and I'm glad to see that I was almost right. However, I've been really impressed by Taiwo Awoniyi for Nottingham Forest. Sounds a bit weird, but he's been so good for Forest. He's impossible to play against. He's massive, really strong, but technically very good as well, I think, and really quick in behind. So Nottingham Forest are using him a lot. It's not their out ball, but their way to play out of danger. They can knock it long to him quite early on. You can hold and bring people to play. But when he gets to run in behind, he's been super dangerous. He's got really good numbers as well. 3 goals from a non-expected penalty goal of 1.8, overperforming.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. And there's been a lot of number 9s who've been fantastic in the last month. There's so many we could have included. So Mikel Antonio as well is fundamental to everything that West Ham do. Darwin Núñez obviously had those 2 goals in the Newcastle game. I don't think beyond that he's done a huge amount, but that was an incredible turnaround there. And, even players like Dominic Solanke for Bournemouth, now back in the Premier League, but showing that he really is one of the elite number 9s. There's so many good number 9s. And I think it's quite easy when a number 9 does well, and you think, oh, we could put them in the team of the month. But so there's plenty for us to choose from. I think this is going to be the thing that a lot of people pick us up on and say, what about this number 9? Because there's been a lot of them who've done well, and also it's easy to tell when they've done well.
We'll be sure to do that. The last thing to do before we finish this right now is choose our manager of the month.
Oh, I didn't prepare this.
I didn't think you would, but you can do it right now. I'm going to go to take it away from John, so he can't choose this one. And Postecoglou. The Spurs are very fun to watch. They're really good. There's an obvious other one to do.
Who is it?
Just go to Zerbi. You like De Zerbi?
I do like De Zerbi. He's been good.
Him? Thomas Frank, you can have him if you want.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go with.
Who else do you want?
Who else is at the top
Man
of the
City
table?
or top. You can have Guardiola if you like, or Lilo.
Yeah, I'll go with Juanma Leo. Yeah, let's do that. The hipster option.
Juanma Lilo, who's not really the manager and just sort of seems to sit there chatting to all his mates during games. Hasn't been on top of the what do you call it, dugout, the tactical area.
Oh, so does he not stand up?
He just sits the entire time. Yeah, he just sits and has a chat, and then they seem to win games. So they don't even need a manager.
That's how easy it is to manage Man City.
That's how easy it is, and that is our team of the month for August, or the first little section of games. We're going to try and do this probably a few times during the season. If you like it, we'll do that. If you think it's garbage, then maybe we won't. Maybe we'll do it anyway to try and annoy the internet.
Antagonise the fan base. Yeah,
exactly. Well, that's all from our team of the month. I hope you like it. Tell us your team of the month now.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including journalists dedicated to each Premier League team, so every fan gets the coverage they deserve, not just the big clubs. And you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.